Hello, I'm Solomon, co-founder of Dagger, and today I'm going to try and teach an AI to use Dagger.
Okay, so we're going to go on a wild experiment together. I have my shell on the left. I have my little Dagger cloud on the right. By the way, this is our team, the Dagger orgs landing page. So you can see our CI on the left. Of course, it's all Dagger traces coming in, and on the right you can see the team working on their laptops with Dagger. This is me getting ready for the demo. We're going to need this later. So where do I start? Okay, so we've been developing this new feature called the Dagger Shell, and you should really try it out. Dagger Shell. This is a glimpse at the future of Dagger because it's going to be a way to use the Dagger CLI that is 10 times nicer. It's going to be both simpler and more powerful. But for now, it's experimental. It's kind of a hidden command, but it's usable. I encourage you all to try it. So anyway, here we are developing on the shell and just figuring out the best syntax and the best UX. And at some point, I started asking ChatGPT, "Hey, does this make sense to you?" And then I realized, hey, I could just copy paste. I could pretend what would happen if I, instead of telling GPT about the shell, I just simulated the GPT actually typing commands into the shell. So then I did this in a very crude way. Initially, I just copy pasted stuff in and out. I said, "You're using a shell. It's new. Figure it out." And then I would just copy exactly what's on the terminal, and then it would send me a command. I would type it back and forth, and actually, I was really amazed by how quickly it picked it up. And all the times it got stuck, it kind of made sense that it got stuck. Like a human would also get stuck here. And so we've been using this a little bit, but more and more as a sort of a QA tool, right? The UX, part of our UX design process, which I think is very exciting. And then separately, we're like, like everyone, we have tasks that would be kind of a pain to do for us, and we're like, we'll do it later. For example, this Daggerverse examples situation where to have really cool examples of how to use a module in the Daggerverse. We have some generated ones, but they're just very basic. A human needs to write one that makes sense to really illustrate, but that's work. So we added a system, shout out to Marcos for getting that to work, where you can actually write a little module, like a submodule that's an examples module that uses your main module. And then Daggerverse will scan that and kind of render it in the page, and it looks really nice. But you have to do that in every language if you want us to show the examples in every language, right? And just to show you that real quick, I think K3S has one, right? I think Marcos used, yeah, so this is a good example. So Marcos went to the trouble of writing an example of how to use his K3S module. So here it is. So you can see it's like an interesting example, actually, put some thought into it. The problem is it's really a pain in the ass to do the exact same thing 3 times in 3 languages, not to mention shell. And so, we said, okay, well, we'll get to it with an LLM. This is definitely a thing an LLM can do, but we got to build an agent to do that. It's kind of a pain in the ass. So we got a bunch of those, and I was thinking, well, what if we couldn't GPT in theory or an LLM use the shell to just do things? And so I thought, okay, let's try to do that. Could we actually get GPT to use the shell for real and just turn it into an agent, kind of like a cheap poor man's agent? Because people develop these really complicated agents with tons of Python and just these weird custom tools. And I'm not an AI engineer. I don't know. But Dagger's pretty powerful. And so let's see how far we can take it. So that's the challenge. Let's see if we can turn Dagger into an AI agent, basically. All right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so this is Dagger Shell. You can do things like, container from Alpine terminal. Boom, I got a container in Alpine and I got a terminal. So this got really nice, intuitive, bash compatible syntax for doing stuff, right? With directory, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to do a whole demo because I don't have enough time, but you should check it out. I made a module, which you can go check out. It's on github.com, Hykes X, which is my experimental modules /GPT. And the cool thing is in the Dagger shell, by the way, a module is something you can run. So you just type the name of the path of your module, and then you press enter, and it's going to run your module. By the way, that in itself really deserves a demo because it's so cool. I can get the docs, and it says, well, you need an API token, open API token. That makes sense. And so I'm just past my, I think, oh, 1 second. I gotta set my, by the way, can't wait for Andrea's PR to drop so that this is just magically built into the Dagger shell.
Little 1Password lookup there. Very nice. Very nice.
Yep. Okay, so this, by the way, this tells you you're in the Dagger shell. You're in new territory. You're in the future. You're in the past. You're in the future. Okay. So, okay, what can we do? Let's just see what's in that module. You can ask. That's the main thing. So you can say, for example, how are you today? And then there's a little log. Is it log? There's a log method that kind of shows the history, right? Oh, that's not, ignore that. That's my secret magic prompt. How are you today? I'm just a program. I don't have feelings, blah, blah, blah. Okay, where do we go from here? Do you know how to use the Dagger shell? Okay, see this? This is a knowledge lookup. I'm going to explain how it works. But basically, I figured out how all these agents have this knowledge feature, and I implemented it in my module. This module is like 300 lines of Go. And most of it is just dealing with OpenAI. It's like 101 OpenAI chatbot example. It's really simple. I'll explain how it works later. Let me just dive in. Okay, what did it say? It said yes. So I asked, do you know how to use the Dagger shell? It looked up knowledge, which I injected. I'll show you later, but it's just text files. How to explore the shell, various examples of using that. Okay, I've learned. Here's how it works. Use .helps. Here's some examples. So, okay, it's got some knowledge. I will say it's not perfectly smart about using the Dagger shell because I have to get better at teaching it. But the dev loop for teaching it is really nice. The first thing I learned is that the model for Dagger modules fits perfectly with the model for AI agents and just AI LLMs in general, because it's all immutable. It's just operations on immutable inputs that produce immutable outputs. There's no global state, prompt in, answer out, or tool call out, and you just kind of keep chaining. So here, for example, I can say, what's my name? And it's going to say,
Is this, you don't need to use last response anymore?
what?
I think you
Oh,
should.
well, there is last reply. Oh, I think I hit it. Oh, that was stupid. Yeah, now you have to look at the whole log every time. That's kind of dumb. Anyway, let me collect my thoughts here for a second. Let me just get to the cool part. Cool. Build me a container from Alpine. Install SSH and Git. Copy the source code of GitHub Dagger into reasonable path. Make that path the work tier. Push the container to TTL SSH. Shout out to whoever's running this registry. It's like pastebin for Docker images. Very, very convenient. Okay. And then let me see what
you have an extra G in Dagger. I wonder if it can figure that out.
I'm not going to try that right now because but we can try after. Okay, so the cool thing is I'm going to switch over here to Dagger Cloud, and I'm going to look at the trace for this. And so we're going to see in real time. This is my shell session. Let's dive into this part. Ask this, ask this. And so, okay, look at the right. The same thing's happening on the left. This is me talking. This is the AI looking up knowledge. This is the AI typing commands in the shell. And you see it, doc, okay, error, stdlib.doc. So it's kind of figuring it out. Okay, container from, no, that didn't work. See, not imperfect knowledge, but the nice thing is it's kind of figuring it out. See, like, oh, I forgot the pipe. Let me put in the pipe. Oh, let me do this. No, that's not right. That's not right. Okay, you're really struggling, buddy. Okay. but it's kind of figuring it out. Okay, it's getting somewhere, right? So it's got, this is a valid shell command. So it figured out it can use the built-in Git support to fetch the repo, get the head branch, get the tree. That does not make sense. Oh yeah, I guess it is. It does. Okay, weird way to do it, but sure, why not? Yeah, see, okay, this one's
So I guess
interesting.
this is so this is checking the source code out on your local machine and then inserting it into the container
No,
rather
it's
than
no, it's fetching it from Git.
But is that running inside the container or is that running it on your local Dagger shell?
Well, it's running in a Dagger function, which I called from my local Dagger shell, but the function is, as usual, it's fully sandboxed. So I didn't give it access to anything.
That's the Git from the core API of Dagger, right?
Exactly. Yep. So this is like dag.git.
Right. Okay.
It's calling the Dagger API. I should have maybe mentioned that. The Dagger shell is basically a bash compatible front end to the Dagger API. Okay, so this was it's frustrating because it's being particularly dumb this time, but it's also interesting to see what happens because look at this one, for example. It messed up. And the error, we also messed up because our errors are not clear in the shell right now. If you execute a command, you don't actually get the error. It just says the command failed, which makes it really frustrating to debug. This is a frustration I have. So this is the AI dealing with the same frustration as me. Look what it does. How to get useful errors in the shell, because I dropped that knowledge. And then I give it a tip. And what's the tip? Oh, the tip is, well, try to expect any error and grab standard error yourself, which it did. And here it's getting, oh, that one's tricky. With exec, well, actually, that one's completely a big mistake. Okay, I don't know if it's going to figure it out. It seems that there may be confusion. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's trying to pass. I don't know why it's trying to pass these arrays. That doesn't make sense. Okay, so now let's try this. Okay, since this is an excuse, since it's struggling here. What's interesting, you know how when we show Dagger modules and it's really amazing, but it fails because your code is wrong in the module. You get a compile error in Go, and then you open the IDE, and your demo failed, but actually is great because you're showing that there's it's just code. You're now fixing errors in your module the way you would fix errors in any code, and that's kind of the point. This is the same for AI agents. The ideal dev loop and for an agent is that the knowledge is wrong, the prompt is wrong, and you just got to iterate on that, right? And so here, the nice thing is, it turns out that the like I said before, the Dagger model is perfect for this because I can insert knowledge. So for example, let me just simplify. Let's forget the Dagger shell for a second. What are my kids? How old are my kids? Oh shit! Okay, wait. I'm showing off an even cooler feature that I didn't want to show yet. Okay, other question. Who's on the call with me right now? How to use a terminal? Okay, that's not going to help you. Okay. Okay, wait. Sorry, this is kind of too meta. It tried to interact with the host computer to figure out. I don't know. Okay, forget Dagger for a second. Who am I talking to on the phone? Who's sitting next to me?
Who is sitting next to you?
I don't have the capability to know who's sitting next to you. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to inject in this
That's
pipeline.
probably good.
I'm going to say with knowledge. Yeah, that's probably good. This is when I hear my robot cleaner.
For now,
power up and come closer.
Hey, let me talk to your refrigerator.
With knowledge, okay. User surroundings. Information about the user's surroundings, and I'm going to say the user is currently sitting next to, virtually next to Jeremy, Dinesh, Kyle, and Miranda. And now I'm going to ask again. This is, see what I mean by the full stateless, just rerun, the context will rebuild, just like it's just a pipeline, right? Okay. Oh, come on. Always the demos. Okay.
Dinesh, where's your lucky cat?
She's probably no. She's behind me. If I pick her up,
Who is sitting?
we'll see what
What do
happens.
you do?
That's why.
She's a bit unhappy, but she's
Okay.
here. She's here.
Yeah.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
see how like I'm being very specific because I'm not a good prompt engineer, so I don't know all the tricks. But I think Dagger is gonna help the experts who are great at prompts and knowledge base, etc., actually develop faster. That's kind of my like the spoiler is we actually showed this yesterday to a real AI engineer, and he's like, I want to use this instead of LangChain for my next agent because this solves like a major problem for all AI engineers. Because it turns out all the problems that we have with CI/CD pipelines, all these agents have them like 10x. Like there's no repeatability of anything. The loop is just a super pain in the ass. And that's true even for simple things like that. If you add RAG and lookups, knowledge bases and interaction, integration with external tools and APIs, it's just like all these things need to be containerized like yesterday. And I think with these capabilities, we have a way to do it. So let me just show you what I mean. Okay, so this was a simple example of this knowledge injection, right? Just this is the description, and this is the content. And so the model just kind of figures it out. Like, okay, this seems like I should look it up. So you did look it up. And you can probably see it here also being looked up, By the way, shout out to Alex and everyone who's working on this tracing feature, because I just added, these are custom open telemetry spans. I'll show you the code after. The module is really not that complicated. Okay, so this is how it works, right? And this is how I've injected this knowledge about the shell. So let me just, sorry, this is kind of an unstructured demo, but using this, I'm just going to inject a little more knowledge. But if you go to my module, I'll just show it to you. There it is. Like the whole thing is like, okay, 400 lines. This is, like, I could actually erase this. It's like back and forth, like API queries. It's very simple. This is the state of the model. Half of this is just debug stuff, but this is the token. This is the model name, like GPT-4 or whatever. This is debug. This is just for looking at what happened. Debug. This is more debug. Knowledge base, like the thing I just injected, it's just an array of knowledge objects, and the knowledge is this is it. 3 strings. That's it. And then I just plug them into OpenAI API. And then as a convenience, here you can see when I initialize, I say, I have a little system prompt, and then there's a knowledge dir. So as a convenience, you can pass a directory with text files. Okay. So here you can see there's a default knowledge directory, and literally a knowledge directory is a bunch of files. And I just wrote a bunch of stuff like how to interact with Git repositories. Like literally, you all should read this. Actually, if you want to know about the shell, read the same stuff I'm telling the agent. It'll help you
figure
figure it out.
docs for the AI. Yeah.
Eventually, this should be the docs. So Vikram, if you're listening, this impacts how we think about docs in general, I think. But you can just add more.
While
right?
you're talking about docs, something that I've been doing a lot when I've been trying something similar in however I'm doing it is that docs at the moment are designed for humans in terms of their multi-web pages.
Mm-hmm.
What I've been trying to do is basically use a web scraper to scrape the entirety of a docs, getting that into the context of an LLM. And the first thing I ask the LLM is, given all of these docs, summarize them into a really short thing. And then I'll start a new conversation with the context from that.
So that's just the thing. I'm going to try to overcome the temporary dumb, stupidity of my poorly trained agent. I'm going to run the local version so that I can actually add. So here I'm just going to add. We can iterate on the knowledge directly, right? like here I can say, and it doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. I'll just run the local version of this module, same idea. And okay, what you just said, this is the key. What I learned from agents, from the state of the art of agents, is that models are like a brain in a jar. They're just floating, immensely smart, unable to interact with the world in any way. And then you you plug tubes into the jar, and there's two types of tubes, like the blue and the green tubes. The blue tubes are knowledge. You just plug in the ability to look up knowledge. I'm simplifying. And then there's the red tubes, or whatever I said, are tools, and they allow you to interact with the world, do stuff. Those are completely separate, and both are highly custom, a lot of engineering, and it's all outside of the jar. Like the brain just has them, it uses them or not, but it has no ability to kind of create its own. And if the agent's not doing the job well, you just kind of turn it off, you upgrade or refactor the tools or the knowledge or both, and then you turn it back on and you try again. And so it's just like Westworld, just the robot wakes up and it starts over. But in the real world, like that's not how humans do it, right? There's no clear separation between knowledge and action. Like if you ask me to read the docs and summarize the docs, I'm gonna open a browser and go read them, and then I will build knowledge, and then I will tell you what I learned, right? I'll walk to the library and open a book. That's an action, right? So I think the Dagger Shell, with all the power under it, including the ability to explore what's available, extend it with custom things, load modules, like any Git repo out there can become a Dagger module. It can be more actions, right? It seems to me the model can use that to figure out on its own how to acquire more knowledge. So for example, I could say, let me try, like, explore the Dagger docs in the Git repo, Dagger docs, current docs. Look around, pick a few files to read. .md extension. Tell me what you learned.
I mean, this becomes really powerful because it just automates what I just said. If you could say, here is the Git repo, here is the docs.
Exactly.
And tell it, you
That's
are
the
now
thing.
a developer. Summarize it for me and spit it out at the end.
See, look what it just did right there. See that one? It was like, okay, I can get the branch, I can glob, I can search, I can read a file, right? I can get its contents, and it's just kind of figuring it out. Again, not in a very smart way, because I'm not a great AI engineer. But the thing is, this was like 2 days of tinkering, and the loop is insane. Like probably I can spot errors and like archiving. Okay.
I mean, what's amazing too about this is that you're using shell twice, right? So you're in the shell, and then you get this continuous stream of the session, but then the AI is also using the shell. The agent's also using the shell itself to explore and execute. So you get these two loops.
Yep.
Really powerful.
Okay, so now back to the nice thing also is in our context, the context of CI and DevOps, the nice thing is with these modules, we've created reusable dev environments basically, right? So like, for example, a human, I can say, shout out to our friends at Cubes, awesome gaming startup. You should really check it out. Programmable games like Minecraft meets Roblox. Plus they're about to embed it directly in Discord. Mind blown. But anyway, they use Dagger. And so they have a module. So I can load that module and say, okay, what can I do with that open source repo? Pending cache improvements, which we talked about before. So now it's that is not in cache. Let's sit tight for a second. Nice thing is when I'm going to ask the AI to do stuff with that repo, the AI will also benefit from the cache. So that's nice.
Higher level question about Shell in general from Nahuna. How does it relate to the host? So he's asking, like, how does it read your environment variable, for example?
So the shell, it's the CLI itself that runs the shell. So the shell is really, it's an interpreter baked into the CLI. And so it doesn't run in the container. It's not sandboxed. It's so anything the CLI can do, the shell can do. And at the moment, but it has to use the core API. So for example, there's an object there, sorry, the Dagger API has a host function. By the way, we have auto-completion in there. So you can say, and there's a standard library built in to kind of show you available functions in our little standard library. So this is what you can say, okay, container and directory. There's a host, so you can say host, and from here you can say host, directory, host file. This is how you tunnel services. This is the API that the Dagger CLI already uses. It's just that it kind of hides it from you because the syntax is not of Dagger call is not powerful enough to let you express it. So we have these shortcuts, like you say, how you can pass when you pass a directory as an argument, you can pass just a remote URL directly. Well, under the hood, it's going to call get, etc. If you pass a local path, it's actually going to say, it's going to call host.pipe directory. But here you can be explicit. So you can say, container from Alpine with mounted directory in /workdir, the result of hosts directory, dot, and give me a terminal. And then that's the local directory and the host, right? Stuff like that. So you have full interaction with host. The environment variables, it turns out we don't have that in the core API, but now we're going to bring it back because it's useful. You just got to be careful to not copy paste any random scripts that someone tells you to run in the Dagger shell, because it is not perfectly, the script itself is not perfectly repeatable. That's the trade-off, right? It's the last mile where you are interacting with this very repeatable platform, Dagger, through the API, and you're plugging in your non-repeatable inputs, right? So you just got to be mindful of that. But anyway, all these things, I should actually just take the transcript and just paste it into a file for the AI so it knows all this stuff. But okay, we have cubes, right? So I called cubes, and I can see, okay, cool. Like as a human developer, cool. I can lint the modules, right? Like this is cool. So as a human, if I want to do QA or test a PR or anything, I can just do this for a given version of cubes, right? You can do this for any branch. And I'm going to run their lint thing, whatever it is, right? So now let's see, how does that help with GPT, right? Because I can say, let me go to my GPT examples. Again, let's see if it figures it out. Hey, cubes uses Dagger. Cool. This is completely useless. Their Dagger module is at github.com/cubes. Can you load it and tell me what tasks are available? No. Okay, it's probably going to go the wrong route. Oops. Okay, it had to happen someday. I hit my token limit. This is the first time it happens to me. Maybe I shouldn't have given Kyle and Jeremy my API token.
I didn't use it.
Okay, well, I don't know. Actually, I've never dealt with this because I'm not an AI engineer. But
I think your agent's been making long distance phone calls.
maybe the model.
Yeah, if you change the model, I think you should be good.
All right, model
we
GPT
actually
for mini. Oh, we're over time, right?
4.0.
But yeah, I just wanted to mention, Dinesh, if you got to go, I know we're at time, so I want to make sure in case you have a meeting. But also for others watching, if you have to go as well, thank you so much for your time, and whoever wants to continue to stay, we'd love to have you. So, but there is a question that actually came up around like the base URLs. So we can save this for later or talk about it now, but can you change the base URL of OpenAI to, for example, OpenRouter to use another LLM?
Yeah, I mean the module itself is incredibly basic. There's in terms of AI specific things, like using models or anything. I'm doing the most vanilla thing possible. So it's literally the example, the example code from the OpenAI repo, and then I just modified it to call one tool, which is the Dagger Shell. So all the cool stuff is Dagger specific. There's nothing fancy on the AI side, which means the answer is whatever the answer is for any other AI project out there. So yeah, different models, different endpoints. I don't know how it works, but probably not that hard. So yeah, sure. it's very vanilla in that sense.
Nice.
How to load that? Let me just try to load a Dagger module. Just execute it in the shell, its address in the shell, like a command. Example, to load github.com/dagger and get the docs. Just run. Make sure to learn everything you can about the Dagger Shell. I gotta kind of prod it to read, to look up all the knowledge, you know.
It's a little
Okay,
late.
let's try again with this extra knowledge.
And while it's going,
Yeah, see, it looked it up. How to load a Dagger module. There you go. Here are the available functions.
Ooh, Lynn.
Test score. Okay, now you can see. Okay, no. Okay, pick a task and do it.
What's it gonna pick?
Let me go back.
So I'm guessing with the Dagger caching, because I love caching, that first bit of your ask isn't getting rerun through the ChatGPT engine sort of backwards and forwards.
Correct.
It's kind
Yeah,
of
so
using
there's
the output of
built-in-
that already. And
Yes.
it just goes.
You get built-in caching. It turns out that a lot of the fundamental primitives the fundamental features of Dagger solve fundamental problems that all these AI apps have. Caching is one of them. Tracing is another. Just repeatability in general. Sandboxing, like constraining what you can see or not. So all the extra effort we put into solving the problems for CI/CD from first principles, instead of just adding another Band-Aid just for CI/CD, is basically paying off because the same principles apply directly to these agents, like directly. And when I show this, I'm realizing I come in like, hey, I'm not an AI guy. Like, I don't know how this shit works. I'm just playing. I think this is cool. And the reaction a lot of times is, you guys just did like the hardest part that we're all trying to do. I mean, I'm simplifying, but not that much. Like, there's a lot of really specialized tools that are reinventing the wheel completely just for these AIs. But it's the container stack, the DevOps stack is applicable to these AI problems. That's what I learned. Oh, and just by the way, it picked a task. This is what it did. It actually ran this testcore.doc. It looks like it had problems. Let me check the available commands. Oh, remember, we're using the mini model, so it's a little dumber now. I'm able to perform the task. So anyway, I kind of wish my demo had gone better, because yesterday when I was playing with it, I probably broke something. It actually, things like building that container, it does this on the first try every time. It's actually useful. And of course, at the demo, it gets dumber. But still amazing to me that even as it screws up, it just sort of tries again and explores, that there's nothing in Dagger to do that. It's just that it happens to be perfectly complementary to the model. The model has the intelligence to do that. It just needs tools that are versatile enough to actually get shit done in the real world. And it turns out the Dagger Shell is great for that. So
I know we're running over time, but I would love to see you put in a loop that goes, oh, I don't understand how to do this. Let me go check out the source code, look at the source code, submit a PR for better docs in to get you to the
okay,
here's
so I will.
and off you go.
There's one I would like to try. Maybe just go for O mini and O1 and just kind of break the bank. But the one I wanted to show initially, the way this started, remember the thing with the examples, it actually did it. So actually, might have to say it instead of show it. But I did something like this. I said, wait, I'm going to have to keep this knowledge. Okay. Okay. Load the module, the Dagger module. So this one's for you, Kyle. Hello. Oh, no, it's just hello. Look at its functions and arguments. Imagine cool example pipelines to use it. That's a good start. Run them to make sure they work. How to load the Dagger module. It's loading the module, maybe, hopefully. Okay, what is that? No. I'm kind of curious how much this is going to cost me actually now, but no. Okay. Yeah, it's getting dumber, I think. Not sure why.
Mini is too many.
But I'm back to the original one, I think. Oh, I'm still in mini. Oh, yeah, you're right.
And now you heard it's
Yeah, mini is too many for sure. Yeah.
It's not gonna work.
This knowledge system I added yesterday, and before I just had a big fat prompt, and it's cooler and more extensible, but it did get a little dumber. I just have to tweak my knowledge base. I need Vikram's help. But this is, to me, we're gonna, like, going forward, this is gonna be an official part of our testing, for at least for the shell. Like, it's like QA, automated QA, right? No, see, that doesn't make any sense. You've explored it? I don't know. I don't believe you. Yeah, no, something's wrong. Okay. I'm going to give up here.
Demonstrated by the failed attempts. I like it.
Okay. But, okay. You just have to believe me for now, but I have a pipeline. We'll come back and we'll demo it. We'll get it to work together. But I did get, just from the shell, GPT-4 to load a module, looking at its API, produce a bunch of perfect pipelines to use it. And then I said, go check out this Git repo. It's got a bunch of modules, the source code of modules, and go. Well, actually, I said, look at the source code for the module. Here are some other modules. For example, these are example modules. Now I want you to write the same examples you gave me in shell, write them in Go, knowing that it's the same API, so it maps one-to-one, figure it out. And then I want you to write those files into a directory using the Dagger Shell, and then share that directory with me. So why don't you pack that into a container and push it to TTL so I can check it out? And it did all of that. And the results did not build, but it was like 90% correct. And from like just a few minutes of iterating in the shell, so I don't know. It feels real. It feels real to me.
No, I mean, the one you showed me yesterday, or Solomon, the happy path happened, and it was.
Oh, you were there. Yeah, you're a witness.
Yeah,
right?
I actually recorded a chunk of it.
Yeah,
because I was like, I think something's good is going to happen. So
yeah. The one we did yesterday. Yeah. So the one about the children.
Yes.
I have to show that. I'm sorry. I know we're going over time. I have to show this. So the first part is, I wish it worked. They would just show it. Okay, how old are my kids? I injected the knowledge. They know how, it knows how old my kids are. And then you remove the knowledge injection. It doesn't, right? But then instead, I injected knowledge that says, in order to find out information about the user's family, I'm realizing this is kind of a creepy example. I'll change it. So what I did is I wrote it in a file. Like, okay, my kids are 3 and 6. I wrote that in used the Dagger Shell myself to put that in a file, pack that file in a directory, pack that in a container, push it to TTL. I've been using TTL just as an ad hoc means of communicating stuff. So it's out there. I have the address of the module, and then I injected it into the agent the knowledge that to find out information about the user's family, you're going to have to pull this container, open that directory, look for files, read those files, and then, maybe the information's in there. And so it did, and it got the answer. You see what I mean? So that to me is very powerful, because it's about blurring the lines between action and knowledge. And to me, the current state of the art, looking at it maybe with the naive eyes of a beginner, is that these agents that people are building, it's like building custom silicon for your product. Like insane amount of engineering into these very custom tools and very custom knowledge-based systems. And what we're doing here is more like we're showing up with a cheap but well-designed general purpose processor. So yeah, maybe it's a little slower, a little less optimized, whatever, but you're going to iterate 1,000 times faster. And at this point, agility is what matters, you know, and it will get you to a better result. That's kind of my feeling. Like you're letting the model do more work itself. And I think it pays off, other than the part where you're paying for more tokens, I guess. But hey, tokens are cheaper than your human time, so it's still worth it. I just got to figure out how much I'm paying right now. I'm a little worried. Let's find out, actually. All right, I know we're over time.
Yeah, I was going to say. Well, I mean, if you want to go for it, go for it.
I want to show one more thing, because that's you remember in the beginning I was going to show the kid's age example, and I said, oh no, that's actually going to show something else. So just last night, I was like, you know how ChatGPT has this memory feature and just remembers things? And so they added their own custom feature that actually breaks the rule that I said before, where it's all fully stateless and immutable, you know, because it's not the model doesn't remember, it's just some glue around it, right? And I thought, well, we have a way to persist information with the Dagger Shell, right? So the AI, if it knows how to use the Dagger Shell, it already has a way to save information for later, right? Because it can use a cache volume. So what I did is in there I added how to memorize information for later, and I said to memorize information, run this pipeline. And I said, well, just do this, you know, use this cache volume, mount in a container at /memory. I'm not doing this. I'm just telling the AI it can, right? And just add a file information, put your information here, and then you got to append it to the memory, you know. Really and cool. Then in recall, I said, okay, how to remember, you do this and just dump memory, you know. And so it's kind of janky,
especially like that last line of the
yeah, I have to do that, because otherwise it's just like trying to help me into like, this is what you can do. And I'm like, no, you do it.
Yeah.
So normally this knowledge is built in because it's in these files. So I should be able to say, I need to start fresh, but like, you know, wait, oh yeah, with prompt, I have to tell it when to remember things. So, remember all information about the user for later. And then ask, you know, who am I sitting next to? And then it's going to say, I don't know, right? But now if I say, I'm going to inject the knowledge once for now, right? So I'm going to say, with knowledge, user, that's just a key, doesn't matter. User sitting. Information about who the user is sitting next to. Again, way too specific. If I were a better AI engineer, I wouldn't need to be that specific. The user is sitting next to Jeremy, Kyle, Dinesh, and Miranda. Am I? I don't know. Did Dinesh leave? I can't see the screen.
He's here. He's here.
Okay.
I'm still there.
Okay.
Really
Okay. So now I'm going to ask, and oops. Wait. Knowledge. Oh, wait. I got a pipe that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay. Information about users. How to memorize information. That's good. A good sign. Okay. I've memorized information that the user. Okay. Now I'm going to remove the knowledge in my prompt, right? And you can see, type the command. It did it, right?
Yes.
Thank you, OpenTelemetry, for allowing us to see that. Without a single extra line of code in the engine or Dagger Cloud. I mean, come on. There's nothing AI specific. None of this required any code in Dagger itself. None of a single line new. I just find that amazing. With prompt, I guess I don't need this anymore. All right. Ah,
Is that cache? Because your
everything's
Dagger engine
cached.
has a
Oh,
yeah, but this question specifically has been cached.
yeah.
So if you
Well,
put an
functions
extra
themselves,
space,
function calls themselves are never cached. So I think
Try it.
put a space and try it.
try to remember. Use your memory. Okay, this is kind of cheating, but just for the demo. How to remember? That's so funny. Oh, come on. Okay, wait. Let's just see what's in there. Let us. This is like a science fiction movie. Let us inspect the brain. What's in the memory? Oh, yeah, see, that's my previous. Just in there. What's right there? Come on, man. I guess something went wrong. Wait, can we debug this?
Maybe he doesn't read every line.
Wait, that's me. This happens to me more than before. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something that is that Dagger CLI does not like in my traces, because I see these loading things. I've never seen those before, but I might be breaking into some way.
Maybe you're not finishing your spans. You're leaving them.
Oh,
hanging open.
maybe. Okay, there it is. 26. It's next to how to remember. I can see what it saw.
I'm gonna say it's really nice to be able to kind of see all this history like this on the side.
Yeah. Again, that's all from the module. Like nothing, no change to Dagger.
Yeah.
Like, you can do this. Like I open sourced the module. You can do this yourself now, and the same thing will happen. Okay, but I want the output though. Ah, damn it! I don't know why I can't see the output. Logs. Okay, well maybe I'm doing something wrong. But anyway.
I would say I think one of the things that would be cool, and I can find some time with you today or maybe tomorrow. We can get try it again, and I'll make sure it's recorded, and that way we can get the snippet up on our YouTube too, so we can share it with everyone.
Yeah, and there was a really great comment from Mohammed Chorfa where saying that it'd be really awesome to increase adoption where Dagger Shell /agent can read a Git repo and generate Dagger pipelines according to the latest docs.
It can do it now.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably get it to do it from the shell. So that, I mean, and solving that problem is now 100% in the realm of prompt engineering.
Yeah, it's awesome. And if they wanted to get started with the Dagger Shell, what's the best approach, Solomon?
I think you're right that it's the new line that's a problem. Sorry, what's your question, Miranda?
Oh, sorry. If they wanted to get started with Dagger Shell, what's the best route to go?
Oh, just type Dagger Shell and play with it. Come to Discord to ask about it. It's not finished. Yeah, actually give us feedback. That would be amazing. Imagine a bash front end to the Dagger API. And we're gonna have docs soon, etc. But yeah, come to Discord, ask questions, start playing with it. It has just type .help and press tab for auto completion. I'm just adding an extra memory just to see if that fixes it, because it doesn't actually see the last memory.
Awesome.
Okay, it's raining outside. Tell me everything you remember. That's so weird. Oh, I think you're right, Dinesh. I think that's the problem, is that it's cached. That's the problem.
Yeah, if you stuck
That's
a
the problem.
cache break
Okay,
of
let's see if we can fix this with only prompt engineering. Recall. Oh, there's no way to do this. Oh shit. That's interesting. There's no the Dagger API does not have support for cache busters. You need an outside source of randomness, which the Dagger shell does not provide. try.
Can you not have a container that executes date and
I'm
use
just gonna try
that
something.
to?
I'm
Actually,
teaching
that
the shell.
itself
I'm
would get
teaching the
cached
AI
too.
to use cache busters. Hang on, hold tight.
Let's see if it can figure it out.
And while you're doing that, we also had a few comments on asking about updates on Dagger Watch. So unrelated to this, I was checking with a few people on our team during the community call, and we are working on it. It is on our backlog. We are working on secrets right now, which is currently the main focus. So we're going to actually do an update on the community call, the next community call, and then moving to that. So that's update there. And then sorry, back to
Who am I sitting next to?
You see that? It used dev random. That was amazing.
Oh, come on. Use your
Oh
memory.
yeah, that's a good call.
Oh, yeah, if there's one thing AIs are good at, it's doing random shit. Yes, it worked.
Yes,
All right.
Wow.
we got there. Wow.
Using the Dagger
But-
Shell, people, we
Wow,
didn't write
and
a
you,
single
and
line
you
of
got
code.
it to it
And
figured
never
it
have
out.
to learn
How-
LangChain.
That's amazing. It figured out using its execution environment to get a random number. That's crazy.
I think your previous one to this was also suffering that same cache hit problem.
Yeah, I
Right.
think you're right. Yep.
Whoa.
So
Too much cache.
next time, I'm hoping we come back and we show a working implementation of a multi-language example generator. I think this is an achievable goal, not even as a big thing, as a side project. And and when we do it, we can just switch from, if we want to productize it, like adding into Daggerverse, instead of stitching shell scripts in Python or whatever, we'll just write another module in Go this time that imports the GPT module. So we'll do this as code.